Salutations everybody, it is Matty here today. Happy Monday. Hope all of you are doing absolutely fantastic to start off this week. Today, we got a ton of Xbox rumors. I don't know if I should even call this an Xbox update because quite frankly, it's like the Jez Corden show. Like Jez dropped so many gems over this weekend that kept popping up on Reddit, on Twitter. I was like, okay, Monday's video is sorted. So shout out to Jez Corden doing God's work over on the Xbox 2 podcast with my good friend Randall Thor. Shout out to his channel. Excellent Xbox content creator. Anyway, we got a lot of rumors to go through in this video. Just rumors, not official news, just so everyone knows where their expectations should lie. But these are rumors on things like Project Belfry, the game coming from Stoic, who developed the Banner Saga trilogy, an excellent trilogy of RPGs that I love dearly. And if you have yet to play, you definitely should. So knowing something's coming from them that will be exclusive to Xbox is exciting, but now we have more details on that. We're also learning more about Xbox's presence at Gamescom, which is very important when you look at the very bloated amount of studios that they have and all the content they have to show between the Summer Games Fest, Xbox's own showcase, and Gamescom. Things are starting to make a little more sense on how they're going to show everything that they have ready for this year. We also have more information on what has been the leaked Xbox Everywhere plan, Microsoft's initiative to take Xbox to you rather than waiting for you to come to the box itself. We have so much to go over in this video. It certainly is summer showcase season. A lot of rumors spiraling all about. So we have a lot to talk about today. Welcome if you are new and if you're looking for more news and information across all of gaming, consider subscribing. Let's get this started with the first bit of information on Project Belfry. As I said, this is coming from Stoic, who's best known for their work on the Banner Saga games. So it's really exciting to know that a talented RPG developer is working on content for Xbox. And here's some of the information that Jez Corden shared on the recent episode of Xbox 2. He says that it has a cloud component, multiplayer, cloud servers, and a social hub like Destiny. He states that these features may have been canceled, but he doesn't think so. Quote, I suppose there is an outside chance that if they were planning multiplayer, that at some point it got canceled or something like that, but I don't think so, end quote. He doesn't know whether the multiplayer component will be co-op or competitive. There's a pretty good chance that it'll be at the show this year, as it has been in development since 2019, and it could also come out this year. Furthermore, there was a job listing post that, if you look now, has been completely taken down that provides more insight on what this Project Belfry is. Scaling enemy difficulty, working with action RPGs to define all the specific weapons, gear, and aspects, loot and reward allocation, understand metrics and react to them, participate in the game design process at all stages from inception to completion. Of course, the first line of bullets meaning the most for you, but noting that it says ARPG may take you a bit away from what defined Banner Saga, which was this more tactical-based role-playing game. And I do imagine, given just it's an action RPG, co-op, loot elements, that's just got Game Pass Day 1 written all over it. Now, the idea that Jez posed where this could come out this year was something that I never considered, because in my head, I'm like, wait a minute. This is how Xbox could fill out the year. With those months that are relatively dead, what can they make as sort of the milestone title for it, right? Because remember before we started to get our Psychonauts, our Age of Empires, Forza Horizon 5, and Halo Infinite, we got things like Death's Door in July. We got something like in August, mind you, that Psychonauts 2 did come out this month, but we also got The Ascent, which was a major bullet point for that month. So indies, AA games can be major things for Xbox if they want to make it that way. And I imagine Project Belfry could slot into one of these parts of the year. For those who don't remember, Project Belfry was reported by Jeff Grubb as being a title very similar to Dragon's Crown, one of my favorite PS Vita games. It was also on PS3, but who cares about that stuff? But it seemingly is going to be a 2D side-scrolling action game with some RPG elements. And I could see, if you draw the comparison to something like Dragon's Crown, how that would make a lot of sense between its art style, its loot focus, its co-op focus. So just a little reminder for those who had forgotten. Let it not be forgotten that Pentiment, the RPG coming from Josh Sawyer, which he recently tweeted he's feeling really good about, when I spoke to Jeff Grubb on my channel here, it was reported that it can actually come out this year. So the idea that we can get a lot of new Xbox exclusives, Starfield, and a new Obsidian RPG directed by Josh Sawyer that's kind of like Disco Elysium. Oh my God, I am ready for the second half tear up by Xbox. It is going to be insane, but exciting details on what's going on here with Project Belfry. Certainly looking forward to learning more. I will admit, I didn't expect multiplayer or co-op elements here, or maybe even competitive elements, whatever it may be. I didn't expect that for this game. I will wait and see, but on paper, it does sound pretty interesting. But this is a studio that I liked because they did choice and consequence extremely well. And they did a really cool turn-based style RPG really well with like unique art style. And they did something that no other company outside of BioWare has done, where your choices carry into the next game. That is such a crazy good feeling. So to me personally, it's one of those situations where I'm like, okay, multiplayer, I'll hear you out. I'm not looking for a 76 moment here, but I'll hear you out. Now, you may have forgotten this project, and I wouldn't blame you because it was announced as sort of a hiring post, but Blizzard had mentioned at the beginning of this year that people should come and create a new universe with them. And it stated that they are embarking on their next quest to go on a journey into a whole new universe to a brand new survival game for PC and consoles. Jez Corden has confirmed that Blizzard's survival IP is codenamed Project Odyssey. So let that begin. Add that to Jez's repertoire, that not only has he leaked everything for Xbox, but before Activision is even brought in-house, stuff for them's already leaking, so Jez is going to tear this shit apart, I swear to God. Anyway, just a little tidbit of information there. Let's move on to the actual second beat of rumors and speculation that we can get into, which is from Jeff Grubb, where he writes an article titled "Xbox plans to launch a streaming puck and Samsung app in the next year." So we talked about this in one of our videos last week, but we only talked about the general premise of Xbox trying to bring things like a streaming puck to players at some point. But we didn't know it was going to be within the next year. So Jeff Grubb provides more insight on that. He writes, "Microsoft is done waiting for you to come to Xbox. Instead, the company is gearing up to bring Xbox to wherever you are. This is a part of the company's Xbox Everywhere initiative, which is expanded yesterday by adding Fortnite to Xbox Cloud Gaming. While you can already stream games from your cloud to your phone and PC, Microsoft also has plans to expand access through your family room television, according to people familiar with the plans. In the next 12 months, Microsoft plans to release an Xbox Cloud Gaming streaming device. This will likely look like an Amazon Fire Stick or perhaps a small Roku-like puck. And like a Roku, the Xbox streaming device will enable you to access movie and TV services in addition to a library of games through Xbox Game Pass Ultimate. If you already have a Samsung Smart TV though, you can maybe skip a separate device entirely. Microsoft is working closely with its partners at Samsung to develop an Xbox game streaming app that's for the company's televisions. That too should debut within the next 12 months. I kind of found it interesting that these are two separate announcements for them, and I do wonder if this initiative will be titled and fully revealed at E3, because the idea that Xbox is really starting to ramp up all of their announcements and begin a new era of Xbox with this showcase, you would imagine, with the likes of Starfield and Redfall being brand new IP on top of things like Project Belfry, which are also brand new, is that anything exclusive to Xbox, you can almost guarantee that this will be on Game Pass Ultimate. I imagine that the service in its entirety would be available through this streaming app, through this puck, but to kind of put a stamp on it before a showcase and say, hey, all these things you're seeing will be available not just on Xbox and PC, but on your smart TV, on this brand new device. I could see them using that as a primer to then show everything off, these crazy high quality games that could be accessed through a mere app on your television. This is the future they're going for, and it's one that you may not be crazy about. The reason I bring this news up again is we did just see last week the issues with Xbox DRM. Now, you can go ahead and hold me to it because I know I made a video about it. There was a time where everyone was losing their mind with the PlayStation 5, with the C-bomb, if you remember that properly. And while everyone was freaking out about that, I was sitting there saying, that's bad, PlayStation, please fix that. But also mentioning that Xbox had a worse DRM situation, one that would not allow you to play offline unless a game was inserted while the system was online for the first time. Now, as we enter more and more of a digital future, I do understand the sentiment that the argument of, how do you not have internet, dude? How does that actually happen? How can you not have any remote access to any type of internet in today's world actually makes sense when everyone's connected constantly? And I do understand that. I do think it's fair. However, what we saw over this past weekend, where there was a server outage and even people who had their console set in offline mode could not access certain apps. Now, a lot of times, this does come down to particular publishers and developers choosing what games could be accessed offline. But the reality is that at the root of this problem, Xbox has a console that does brick when things go offline. And I know a lot of people can't imagine it now, but there was just a generation ago with the Xbox One where Xbox was about to bow out and say, I'm out of here. So with Xbox getting ready to bow out of the game, you could have lost access to everything, because when those servers went offline, everything would have bricked and would have pushed everyone to PlayStation, because you couldn't play most of the stuff offline unless certain developers, of course, checked a certain box. But even in that instance, sometimes things didn't work out properly for the box. So with that DRM situation, this Xbox Everywhere initiative, I do hope that Microsoft, the company who pushed, by the way, for game preservation in our industry, who is one of the biggest vocal advocates of it and does have a actual product to show for it in back compatibility, does actually start working towards a solution that makes it where if the server shut off and we go out of business, you can still turn on your console and play a lot of games. Last but not least, in today's news update, we got to talk about another showcase for Xbox. So with the Summer Games Fest showcase, as well as the Xbox and Bethesda game showcase, just a couple of days apart from each other, you think that'd be enough time for Xbox to show some announcements on Jeff Keighley's show, and of course have a whole show dedicated to themselves. To me, that seems like a situation where they could get it all out. But when you have the rumor from our buddy Randolph Thor that all these companies are putting in announcements under the first party umbrella that are ready to show things for their games, Xbox now has a ton of assets they can spread across now maybe 3 showcases, as it was reported by Jez Corden on Xbox 2, quote, I have heard that they will be at Gamescom this year. They'll have a presence because Gamescom actually has an in-person event this year. Maybe they will save something for Gamescom, end quote. So just a rumor right now, but this would really, again, with everything that they have to show, and you think about the sneaky announcements like Belfry, being able to pop in an update about that and start to remind people of things that exist, this would be very wise of Xbox. And we all know they love the in-person events. They love announcing things. They love showcasing things. That's Xbox's bread and butter. They love doing shows for everything. We haven't seen much of that from them this year. We've only had one, as far as I remember, ID at Xbox Spring Games Showcase. Otherwise, they've been very quiet. And I think it's because they've been gearing up severely for the second half and onwards. But yeah, this would make sense for them to have not only their own showcase, borrow some stuff from Jeff Keighley's showcase, but then host another one like 2-3 months later when it came to Gamescom, which is an in-person event. And of course, then there'll be hands-on opportunities, and that'll be really cool to see more about these Xbox games. So a lot of rumors spawning around, getting a little crazy here. But again, I've warned you all since the beginning of the month that there's going to be a ton of them. Expect more rumor videos because there's certainly a lot worth reporting on, especially when it's coming from the Xbox 2 show. Salute to those 2 hosts there. Doing an excellent job. Jez is usually right on the money, as is Rand. So shout out to them for hosting an excellent Xbox podcast, just like Defining Duke. We got a good show too. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in. Let me know what you think of all these rumors in the comments down below. Other than that, follow me on Twitter, follow me on Instagram. Those links are in the description down below. And a big thank you to all the patrons, all the members who continue to support the hell out of the content here. Stay sexy, stay active. I love you all. Peace.